Welcome everybody. We are on Zia Media and I'm McGeorge Mbare. Alongside me, I have three gentlemen across me. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for hosting me today. My name is Arthur Muoni and I'm a great lover of football.
And welcome Mr. Dakwa.
Thank you very much, McGeorge, and it's a welcome to all our viewers who are watching us. And my name is, rightly said, my name is Evans Dakwa, and I'm the resident sports analyst here at Zia Media. And I think we should be helping each other to dive into the topic of the day.
And in the far corner, we got Mr. Incredible. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for welcoming me. My name is Kwanele Moyo. I got the incredible voice, the guy who doesn't serve his voice whenever he's in the commentary box.
And before we dive into this topic of the day, we have to remind you on the 23rd of November 2024, we'll be hosting the Zia Media Annual Tournament consisting of 6 teams. These are the high school 6 teams, and it has been an addition of the 3 other teams that came from the NASH. And back to the topic of the day, we have reminded you that Dulivhadzimu have lost 5-0 to the Platinum Miners. What's your take, guys?
Yeah, firstly, I would say it's a disappointing result for Dulivhadzimu. Why? Because every game that they play, or every game that a team plays, they intend to win. And such a heavy loss, it's very disappointing for the team and for the fans. Remember that the fans, when the season started, they hoped for this team to win. But during the course of the season, they dwindled. And obviously, we wanted these guys to give us a bye that is good. But at the end of the day, you see them losing by 4-0. That only shows that there's something that is lacking in terms of the tactics.
Can we really, on your own thoughts, Mr. Muoni, can we really take or shift the blame to the players or to the management at whole?
Well, at the end of the day, we can't pinpoint one person to carry the blame, because all these, I believe that there are many actions that can cultivate this result. At the end of the day, it might be players on the field, but as for me, I believe that we can't blame the coach at the end of the day, because the coach, I believe that whenever he goes out, he lacks experienced players. He will be playing with inexperienced players, and most of them will have suffered injuries when they will be playing social leagues. And at the end of the day, these are the things that cultivates such results. That's my take.
And Mr. Dakwa, with what Mr. Muoni has been emphasizing, we're saying we can't shift the blame to the management or to the coach only. What's your take on Coach Neva Malunga since him replacing Stanley? And remember, they've been running for 13 games unbeaten on the first half of the season. And still he came into power. He has been facing some challenges here and there until he lost at home.
I would pick up from where Muoni left off and say, I think the result that we witnessed last week has been a long time coming. Why do I say so? I mean, I wouldn't shift there were a lot of things that have been happening in that camp. You could see even the performances, especially after the first half of the season. And coming to your question whether we can put the blame on Neva Malunga, I don't think, his tactics as a coach, of course, there's always room for improvement. But I think my feeling is Coach Neva Malunga was set up to fail. Why do I say so? I think you could tell, even when Coach Stan was there, that the camp had problems. You could tell that there were problems, especially financial problems. So because of his charisma, because of his appeal and the respect that he commanded amongst within the community and also the players, the coach the former coach Stanley Ngcobe kind of shielded those problems and made it seem everything was okay. Characters, coaches differ. I think Coach Neva Malunga was put in the hot seat and failed. Does not have that character that Stanley Ngcobe has to be able to bring command the respect of the players. Remember, these players, some of the reports that we get is they get as little as $20, $10, and it doesn't augur well because it is their career. It is for them, football is their job. So to blame him will be a disservice. He might have his own problems, but right now, I think the problem is bigger than him. That's my take.
And Mr. Incredible, by what Mr. Dakwa and Mr. Muoni have been saying pertaining the coach, do you think he was the perfect replacement? With what he said pertaining the hot seat that and challenges that he've been encountering, do you think he was the perfect replacement for Mr. Stanley?
Well, there isn't much I can say, but if we look at the men who replaced Stano, I would say he's the rightful person who could take over, because when he came to Beitbridge, he came as a player. He once played for one of the top teams in Beitbridge. He also helped a lot when he was also a coach of border strikers up until it managed to qualify to the Premiership some years back. He's now well versed to the culture of Beitbridge. He's now well known. He has adjusted as a player and as a coach as well. I think that was a very good decision, and he suits to be one of the coaches there. And I can also add that looking at Beitbridge football fraternity, you may agree with me that he has played so many crucial roles, either as a player and as a coach, because he managed to take over and they won some of the games, although they lost some of the games even here at home because of some challenges. Some of the players got injured, especially we may also mention the goalkeeper who had clean sheets in a couple of games from the beginning of the season up until he got injured. That's when they started to consider numerous goals. Well, there isn't much that I can say disputing that the decision that had been taken by then was incorrect. It was a proper decision.
Can we say maybe when we look at how he plays, he took the team where it was in a better position to say his goals and expectations was to go to the promotion of the Premier side for the first time, to have since around the days of 2015 2016 season, where we once had a club from the British side in the Premier Agency. And he came to take over a club that was on the top flight of the Central Region Soccer League. And by the time he started by losing a shallow 1-0 to Chapungu, he lost. But now he has broken his own record of breaking 5 goals in one match. In a crucial match where the supporters, where the team needed him most to stabilize, to put strategies in order to remain in the top 4. But now he's out of the top 4. What's your take on his rhythm, playing rhythm?
I think he didn't change quite a lot of things there. It's just that people would be expecting wonders. And although people have different sentimental opinions in football, some of them might end up agreeing with us. This discussion will open up minds, because we have to consider that when the former head coach moved to the Eastern region, he also stripped off the team. It became more like a skeletal team. He went with some of the key players, and we have been witnessing that all over the world, whereby coaches move from one team to another with the quality players that would have managed to actually lead them to breakthroughs. I don't think there is anything that we can say against the head coach that is in charge right now. When we are towards the end of the season, what we have to look into is to how can we rectify, how can we come up with something that can beef up Dulivhadzimu, how can we source money? Because it is one of the most fundamental aspects that has been affecting Dulivhadzimu United as a team. Those are some of the key factors that have been affecting Dulivhadzimu effectively from the beginning of the season.
What's your take on that one, Ms. Moyo?
There is what we call objective. Objective, this refers to intended goals at the end of a project. If I may to refer you to what the club chairman, Mr. Shoko, said during an interview with the Herald of 11 May 2024, he said that what we seek in this season is to be in a better position at the end of the season than the last season. If we are promoted to the Premier League, this is a bonus to us. That was the club's stated goals. So at the end of the day, I believe we as the fans, we have something that we envisage from the team, but it is not realistic. When Mr. Shoko said this, speaking to the Herald, it was 11 May 2024, and Dulivhadzimu was leading with 16 points. The team that was second placed was Mvuma, right? You can see that although Dulivhadzimu was leading, this person knew that at the end of the season, there are some changes that are going to happen and the club is going to dwindle. So I believe that at the end of the day, we need to be realistic as fans. We can't blame Neva Malunga for these losses, because if a club chairman foresaw that at the end of the season, this club is going to fail, or at the end of the season, they can't be promoted to the league, who are we to blame a coach? The reason why we blame the coach is because we don't have enough knowledge. If you look at the Zimbabwean Premier League, the only teams that are in the top 4, right? Since like 4 years ago, you see Ngezi Platinum, you see FC Platinum, you see Manica Diamonds. These clubs are owned by individuals or by companies. So at the end of the day, you and the viewers, we can all attest to the fact that only the novel rich clubs are the ones that can enjoy. So at the end of the day, the solution that I can give to the club is for Dulivhadzimu to try by all means to steer off from being a community-owned team, so that one individual or one company can come to pump up resources.
Muoni, you're saying Dulivhadzimu is facing
undoubted and uncontested for every community club in Zimbabwe.
Maybe just to add on to what he's saying, I think, you know, where in the world have you seen clubs that are touted community clubs surviving or doing well? The Manchester City of this world, the Manchester United, they've got a share structure. If at all, my suggestion would be, if at all we want to say, let Dulis be a community, but the community element, let people have shares. Even in Manchester United, fans, they've got element of their contribution, right? They subscribe as members and they've got their, let's say we've got 100% of Dulibadzim, right? We have got this individual with 40% stake. This is individual with 50% stake. Fans, 10%, right? So we say for every $100 that is needed for the team, right? This person is contributing $40, the other one $50, and the fans $10. Because what we want, I've heard so many officials, so many people talking, saying we want Premiership football. But before you talk about the Premiership football, you don't build a house starting from the roof. You build a house starting from the foundation. Is the foundation right for Dulivhadzimu or any club Premier League? Right? Yes. So that people need to have those serious conversations. And I think as the season comes to a close, incredible, and you, Mr. Moyo, we as the fans, the management, and the stakeholders of this club need to come together and say, what is it that we need to achieve? Because it's one thing saying we need Premiership football, and it's another to be able to put in place systems that will ensure that the team indeed goes to the Premiership.
Yes.
You cannot have a situation whereby a player who's saying, this is my career, and then tomorrow he doesn't know what he's going to be eating. We need a system and a structure that will say, before the season starts, this club is being owned by this. These are the shareholders. Yes. Of course, the fans will continue being the stakeholders. I'm a stakeholder. Like, I'm a fan of Manchester United. I'm a fan of Dynamos right now. But I support from where I am. The financial day-to-day financial needs of the team. You've got people take care of it.
So beside the financial crisis, and Mr. Incredible have mentioned a divide of the squad. When Stanley left, some players are leaving the club. But when they left, there were players coming in. We saw a couple of players coming into Dulivhadzimu, and Dulivhadzimu was still strong. We see the likes of Messi trying to strive, becoming goal scorer for Dulivhadzimu. But here's the thing. Why is it they try to change? The situation just changed in a grip. They just change into a losing position, into a drawing club.
I'd like to first answer that. You can't put 3 new players in a team.
What he's saying, when the former head coach moved to the Eastern region, they introduced the new players, which couldn't even build up the combination.
Yes.
And they also changed some of the players, like Matsika's position. He became a defender, and by then he was a midfielder. And there are quite a lot of things that happened. When Messi managed to hit the net 3 times, when he scored a hat-trick, he was scoring just from outside the box. He didn't play as a winger. So that's when he managed to utilize, to convert those opportunities. And even the head coach, Mr. Malunga, also said it, speaking to Zia Media, that he had wasted a lot of chances in the previous games. He was just correcting his mistakes. And the other thing, once if you change more than 3 players in a team, that means even the typical type of play will automatically change.
We have to suit the new players.
Let me just add one, Mr. Incredible. George, listen here. Look at Manchester City right now. It's just one player that is missing, but his absence is being felt by the whole team. And all analysts and even us seated here, we can agree that he is the engine that drives Man City forward. Now let's come back to our Dulibadzim. There is Mbare, the captain. There is the best, probably the best ball-playing defender, Damala Nkunda. Right? How crucial were those players to the success that Duli's had? Damala Nkunda came in with the goals. Mbare came in with the goals. He was, even when the chips were down, he was able to rally the team. When those players left, the team was left without a leader. And when we've got all these problems, they come back to issue of finances. You've got players allegedly going away, right? Social leagues, away. Why are they going away? Because they're not paid. There is no money to pay them, right? There's some players allegedly feigning injury so that they can go. If you check Dulibadzimo, each and every time they go away, their team is so much depleted. You can tell, if you look at their team sheet, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 senior players absent.
Yes.
Because they don't go. Why do they don't?
I do concur with you.
Yes.
Because the match between Dulivhadzimu and Gokwe North, there were a lot of players that were missing.
Exactly. Why are they missing? Why are they missing? Why are they missing? It's because of money, right? Why do they show up when we are at Dulivhadzimu Stadium? It's because they know the funds are coming in to pay, right? Automatically, they are guaranteed of having something. Right, so it all boils down to the finances of the club, and then we need a model that will ensure at least let a player come in next year as we start the season, knowing that per match, right, per month, I'm going to be paying $50. I'm going to be paid $50.
Yes,
and I'm guaranteed $50 across. Then for every match, this is my winning bonus, and that is catered for. And other add-ons will come in to feed,
yes.
And even the fundraising of the funds will come to feed into what the basics that are there. You cannot say you are. How do you then ask a player that is going to a social league? You are not paying them, and then he's telling you, I'm going to get 1,000 rands there. How do you stop them from going there? Do we even have contracts for those players? How do you tie and say you have a contract that you don't know how much you are going to pay a player? It is the norm now. Even if you look at the likes of Blanket, Mine, Gwanda, everywhere, players have got a minimum allowance that they are given per month. That should be the standard.
So the problem, you are driving the problem to the management, the whole ownership. Since it's a community.
Not exactly. You know, there are many factors. If you may remember what I mentioned earlier on, I also spoke about injuries. You know, the first defeat that they lost, it was versus FC Platinum under 19
Yes,
boys.
yes.
They lost by 3 goals to 1, right?
Yes, here at Dulivhadzimu Stadium. It was because their first goalkeeper, Rocky Munyaradzi, had an injury. And ever since they had played up to the 14th match, they'd never lost. They won and drew in a consecutive way. But when he got injured, they introduced a junior who considered...
But Mr. Incredible,
Yes.
I just want to say something there. The issue of finances. Because at the end of the day, every team has to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
They needed to make sure that the guy who is going to replace Rocky Munyaradzi is suited for that position. The fact that that person came for that position and conceded 3 goals only shows that he was not the right person. If this club had finances, it would have invested into a good alternative goalkeeper. Yes.
Right now, Alisson Becker is not there at Liverpool. But look at Liverpool.
Yes, because they have an alternative backup plan.
So incredible of mentioning to say we can't blame the management. But we go back to the issue. You point the financial crisis. Yes, we see the financial, it has been there since the league had started. Now, when they were playing with the financial crisis, winning the games, injuries happen. Players come and leave. I don't think there's a player who is bigger than the club in this case. If a player leaves, there loses a player. Since Dulis is a player, we have seen in many cases there are unused subs in Dulis. You see in the game of Western Nicholson, they were playing at home. Player losing the ball, but the coach never changes any tactic. You go and make a substitute on the 18th minute, whilst you are 2-0 down. That goes back to the tactical approach of the coach. We can't take away the tactical approach of the coach. We can't take away the financial crisis. Now, how do you rate the commitment of the players if in such cases?
You know, you're reminding me of something. A day before yesterday, I met the manager of Dulibadzimu United, and I spoke to him. I had to ask him, what's happening at Dulivhadzimu? What went wrong? You know what he said to me? Mbare, bora reading my shortcuts. So damari. Without money, you can't control players.
You can't control players.
You will never have control over players. They will do whatever they can. They will even use some crookish methods, even in places where they are not supposed to be. You'll find them even being indulged in some of the things that they shouldn't be taking. Indulging into drugs, drinking beer, not going to training, being committed to other things.
Mr. George, you said that at a certain time when they were facing financial crisis, but they won the games.
Managed to win the game.
Yes, but refer back to what I said earlier. The club chairman of Dulivhadzimu, when they were winning,
They were winning it.
they were winning at that time. They were number 1. They were leading by 16 points. Right? And he said, these are not my words. These are not my words. I'm sure the producer is going to put them. He said that if we win and we go to the Premier League, it's a bonus for us. He knew that there were certain things in the management systems that would deprive Dulivhadzimu of winning. He knew that.
The management has a problem there.
Yes.
We can all agree that management has a problem there. And first of all, if the chairman goes on to say if the team is leading, that means he knew the team has no consistency. The team, they're not reliable enough to push up until they finish the league.
He knew that they do not have the finances that they need to keep these players happy as the season goes, and they knew that their pocket was not strong enough to be able to sustain a full season, keeping these players happy. If you look at the first games, those players were so much happy. Away home, they were so much happy. They were
motivated.
They were motivated. You could see it.
Because I remember that they played a series of games home.
Exactly. Right, they were so much motivated. So I think what we need to look right now, this has happened. I think the focus now should be what should be the way forward. Yes. And personally, I feel the stakeholders of Bedbridge football need to come together. And say when the municipality of Bedbridge comes and tell us they want Premiership football. What do they mean? How are they supporting the towards the foundation towards the Premiership football? When so and so says I'm going to support you when there is Premiership football. How are we going to find ourselves with Premiership football without the fundamentals? So we just need the stakeholders, the community, the management, and even the corporates in Mbare to come and say what's the best way. Because at the end of the day, soccer is a business. Right? So when there's a business, you invest, right? You cannot have lodge owners, waiting for Dynamos to come to Bedbridge when that happens, when they are not investing to make sure that Dynamos comes to Bedbridge. So those are the conversations that I think as we wound up this season, we need to have this conversation, and people should have serious conversation. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, why should we have, this is a town of 60,000 people plus or minus, right? Plus, right? Why do we need to have Bishopstone? Why do we need to have Bedbridge? Why do we need to Bedbridge FC? Do we need to have Dulivhadzimu? With which pool? Where are you fishing your players from?
Yes, if we just combine forces, I believe that we can have a better team at the end of the day that can compete.
Compete, and then you take one franchise, you say we've got a developmental side that goes into D1. If you go to Premiership, then we've got a team in the Premier, then we've got a developmental side. The same way the likes of Ngezi and FC Platinum are doing, right? Why should we have 3 teams competing for the same very few corporates that are available, that are willing to support soccer? Why should we have that kind of situation?
Because at the end of the day, you have Saturday, there is a Dulivhadzimu versus this team. Sunday, there is Bedbridge FC versus this team.
A stone throw away, there's Bishopstone.
Yes.
They're playing also. Why can't we then pull the resources to and say, let's have one team, and then another team there, right? This team is for juniors. No one above the age of 18 is allowed to play in that team, right? And then you've got a main team. We put our heads together. We come up with a working structure, a structure that works. We agree this structure works, and then we support this team until it gets to the Premiership. We have developed. There's a very good ground there, the Ronnie's ground. That ground can host Premiership football.
Yes, this just shows how Bedbridge loves football.
So in the way forward, you say we have 3 teams that are divided. But in these 3 teams, there's a little shallow about Bishopstone being included in those 2 teams. Bishopstone comes from the outside the town, from the Bishop. It has its own owners. And these ones, they come from within the town, just 800 meters apart. That's there we have the issue between Bedbridge FC and Dulibadzimu United. If we have players, they come from the same neighborhood. They play from the different paths. That's what you mean.
Let me help you before he comes in and say, Bedbridge as a district, Bishopstone is in Bedbridge district. Imagine having in Harare, right? In Harare with 2 million plus population, how many teams are there? Right? At one time there was only Dynamos and Cape United before these other pockets popped up, right? Then you're saying you want to develop, you want to have Premiership football. My question is, how do we have Premiership football when we've got 3 teams in one district competing in the same competition and competing for the same resources? Because we're going to the very same point that we said, football is a business. It needs investment in terms of money. Then where are you getting the money? You're getting from the corporates, the individuals that are there. So you're competing, 3 teams, you're competing for the very few people that are willing to support soccer. Why? When we're saying money is the root of the challenges that Dulis is facing, even Bedbridge FC is facing, even Bishopstone is facing.
If we just reference to other leagues in Zimbabwe, we have the Northern Region Soccer League, right? There's Scotland and there's Moors. Those clubs are individually owned or they are company owned, right? If you go to the Southern League, there's FC Wangmazoze, right? They're eyeing for the Premiership. Those guys are individually owned, right? So if a club is community owned and if it faces financial problems, if it doesn't have motivation, at the end of the day, it is doomed to fail. And you can't blame the coach. That's where you belong. We belong at number 6. We belong at number 6 and number 5. Last year we had that position at the end of the day. That's where we belong. That means there's no change. We were there when Sterling Muyo was there. We were in that position. So we can't blame the coach. At And this year we are again at that same position. Yes, so we can't blame the coach.